it actually fits in very nicely, given that the P4C program allowed such a setting. Sorry, it's a bit wordy, but I'll go through quickly point by point. The design of the classroom observation instrument, I think all of us have a classroom observation worksheet. I mean, that's how we actually look at our teachers. Sometimes we reflect on our own as well. It says that the motivational strategies, as we listed further, right, can be in this four form. Number one, creating basic motivational condition by establishing a pleasant and supportive classroom atmosphere. Now, if you look at just now the setting, when you sit in a round circle, everybody is equal, everybody is looking at one another, and there is a set of rules when you actually share about your perspective and your reason. And usually what they do in this P4C is that when you need to talk, you'll be given the ball, you are holding the ball, and only when the person holds the ball, the person can talk, the person can speak. The rest have to listen. And with this, every child's voice is heard. So actually, this environment is pleasant, slightly stressful for those children who have no ideas. But if you do it a few more times, you realize that every child would want to talk. Number two, generating initial motivation by using strategies to increase their expectancy of success and goal-oriented, and making teaching materials relevant for children or for the learners. Number one, for every question that the children ask, and we acknowledge such a question, we are actually trying to affirm their behavior to question. So they taste the success that, hey, I asked a question, and the teacher affirmed my question, and the teacher asked for more, and asked me, why do I think this way? And if I can share a little bit more, I get affirmed. If I'm unable to share, the teacher say, it's alright, pass on. Someone else can help to answer. And actually this motivates the children to want to question more, to speak more in the classroom setting. The third point, maintaining and protecting motivation by making learning stimulating. And when you present the task to them, it is not just about sitting in a round circle and talking. You can put this, we call it a line of difference, and then they can come around and look at the stimulus on the floor, and they can share their thoughts as well. So actually the environment can be very exciting, and along the way, even in the lessons, they can break up to different groups and talk among themselves, and then they can share in group. So we realize that there's an individual thoughts, individual reflection, individual questioning, group discussion, group sharing as well. So in such a setting, we actually motivate them to speak. And the last but not least, we encourage positive self-evaluation. So at the end of the day, we do have some time for them to think about what was the discussion that went on, and how do they actually think about the whole session at the end of the day, and how can they take their thinking further. So all in all, these four strategies also fit in nicely to our COI here and motivate them to learn. And in my classroom, when I actually implement a P4C lesson, I go into these three areas. The head knowledge, thinking and reflecting. When we take them through, we want them to talk about their heart. How do they feel? Not just about their answers, not just about how they think, but how do they feel about how other people share about their perspective. So we're actually inculcating in children the value of care, the value of tolerance, and the value of understanding towards differing views. Now, if you hear sometimes a 9-year-old speak, right? If they speak in their own setting in the playground, sometimes when they disagree, it comes with a little bit of unkind words. You know, sometimes they say, yeah, I don't agree, you know, you are not that good, stuff like that. But in the classroom environment, we're teaching them to be respectful towards differing views. And actually, over time, we're building their confidence to share alternative views. Now, in a society, in an Asian society like ours, yours, mine, sometimes we are afraid to share differing views. because we are not so sure whether are people going to accept differing views. Like even like today, the setting is supposed to be seated. I'm wondering whether if I stand, would that be an issue or not? So these are things that goes on in the mind of a child at a very young age. So if we can address this at a very young age, when they are able to share their thoughts and support what their alternative views are in a very respectful manner, I'm sure when you become an adult, you'll be able to know how to share your views using the right channel. Last but not least, we develop in students the problem-solving skills when they come together. For myself, although I facilitate the discussion, thinking deep, but sometimes I want them to think further. Don't just think. Talk about what you can do. Because if you're just a thinker, you all agree together as this is the best way, this is the truth, but you do nothing about it. What is the purpose? And the last one is that develop the skills of voicing their thoughts and building on others people's idea. So all in all, when I did a lesson, when I planned a lesson, I have these three things in my mind to raise the confidence of the children in using it. Sorry that these words turns out a bit funny. Okay, I don't know why is it like that. Give me a minute, I draw another one. Sorry, I have called up my slides, but it's not showing. Did I do anything wrong? Oops. Sorry about it. Okay, actually what we are saying here is that earlier on when you saw those weird characters, right? Actually, before you start the lesson, we plan something in the classroom. We do put up posters, we do put up rules in the classroom when you actually start a thinking session like that. So for myself, because it's a Chinese language lesson, I have to do it in Chinese. So I expect the children to actually listen carefully to their friends, 仔细聆听发言者, and okay, 一人发言全组听 means that, one person speaks, the rest got to listen. Okay? And everybody have a chance to speak. And when you actually share your ideas, right, if you just only look at me, then the rest of us, right, will be neglected. So I expect my students, when they share their views, they look at everyone, each and every one of them, and they be confident about it. Because when you share your idea, it is not shared to me. I'm just a facilitator. You share to everyone. So, 想法是建构的. That means we are constructing each and every one of our ideas. So when I think, and you think, and we think together, it's the same thing. When I share my idea, you share about your idea, and we all share our ideas together. So when I put up such a poster, when I go through the rules with them, this is my expectation of them in this thinking program. And of course, last but not least, there are some students among us who are very good. Then I'm just trying to tell them that, do not always think that your perspective is the best. Because everyone have their own perspective. Right? So, will that cause another problem? Okay, so that was the lesson preparation that we are talking about. This is actually something you can actually download also. For if you're doing English, you actually have it in English. But because it's a Chinese, you have to actually do it on your own. But if it's other subject discipline like mathematics, science, if you want to have your own rules, I'm sure you can have that. But the key thing is that it must be an environment that you encourage articulation, encourage questioning. So, I'll share with you 2 lessons that we have earlier conducted. With 9 years old, that means they are considered grade 3 here. Correct? Grade 3. So of course, getting ready, we actually have a pre-lesson survey with some of the children. And then we present a stimulus. For instance, I talk about self-control. We presented a stimulus. I presented to them this Marvel comic called the Hawk. Right? I mean, the Hawk, when he gets really angry, he turns big, right? And then his clothes just get torn off. So why do I select this Marvel comic? Is because it is something that the children knows. It connects with them. And then they know that the children, they know that this comic character when they get angry, he has an outburst of his temper, and then, it's a lot of havoc and create a lot of chaos also. So when I presented such a comics strip to them, they understand that we are talking about this thing about losing your temper, but they do not understand the concept of anger yet. So when we talk to them about anger, and then I share with them a story. It's a book about this teacher. It's animals, and then this teacher get very upset. So she got so upset that she decided to change all her students to puppets. So when we actually bring these 2 stimulus to them, it started to get them questions. So I get them to question, so is this right for the teacher to get angry? Is it right for the hawk to get angry? And then the lessons continue, and then they started to talk about, no, they shouldn't. So we are not actually, some of them say yes, some of them say no. And then I brought to them the difference of degree, whereby there's actually two ends. One end is angry, one end is happy. And I give them different scenarios, and then they can take it and place it on the floor. When can you get angry? When do you get less angry? And then when do you get happy? So it is a line of difference. And then they started to build the idea about what is anger all about? What is being happy all about? And slowly we round up by getting them to agree or disagree. We get them to actually build on one another's idea. We get them to show their thumbs up, thumbs down about certain perspective, especially when the question is a little bit difficult. And finally, we actually talk about the concept of self-control. So if they're able to exercise some form of self-control, will we actually see them have an outburst of anger? May or may not. But we leave it to them is because at certain situation, okay, the children actually said that we have a right to be angry. And one child actually said that we are all human. We have a right to get angry, just like we have a right to be happy. But at the end of the day, all of them agree on one point, that when you are angry, you have to manage it. You can manage it differently, but the most important thing is that when you have an outburst, you must think of the people who are around you who are receiving the outburst. So I thought when we actually round up the lesson, we have a very nice closure because there's a certain level of agreement in how we should do self-control, but acknowledging that anger is within us, and we are human after all. So that was actually the concept that I was trying to bring to them. And what are the vocabulary that we are talking about? Okay, I have a video here, but I'm not quite sure whether it works. We'll see whether we have some time later. Now, when I was taking them through this lesson, right, I actually used the word called, I've used two key vocabulary. One is 如果. 如果, it means that if you are in this situation, if you are